All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach double honor to the apostles, bishops, elders, and GMS. And it's going to be, it's kind of a quick hit, right? It's a spirit, it goes on a little bit longer, but immediately when I woke up today, the first thought was, the Lord is going, get you to where you're supposed to be. But in particular, I was just thinking about, these people, right, that's following, these other camps, right, outside of the GMS affiliates, right, and people that follow and teach underneath the apostles, the elder apostles, bishops, elders, at GMS, the people that's in IUIC, IS, UPK, all these other groups pretty much. And the people that is meant to, eventually at some point in time wake up and leave those false doctrines, those false camps, right? And they're going to eventually follow, the way of the 100% truth, which GMS has, right? Also the affiliates, right? And, I know I'm not in GMS, but I follow the apostles, the elder apostles, the bishops, because I know for a fact that they're the men of the Lord, man, and they have the truth. When you watch all these other groups and you listen to them and you watch them and you listen to their doctrines and you can just tell, man, you can just tell that it's false. Right? From Genesis teaching Gentile salvation now to WFI, the Wi-Fi, teach Mark the Beast of Sin, Friday sundown, Saturday sundown, Sabbath. People, some groups are telling you supposed to take the jab, the hokey pokey. IUIC talking about you can do it with a lady on the Sabbath. You can just tell, man. Right? And it's kind of like just a super small testimony. Because when I was learning the truth, I followed, well, I didn't not say I followed, but I didn't really know nothing about GMS at all. I seen, the elder Mnatazagba, I seen his videos here and there. I would watch him here and there, but I was just watching WFI. It's because I was in the spirit of, I was a little bit learning, but it was just like watching the videos, them cutting up people, ooh, oh, this is nice, ooh, laughing and shit. I never really watched IUIC, never really followed or watched ISUPK, and so on and so forth. And then finally, I started watching more and more of GMS and started leaving other groups, stop watching them pretty much, because it was the point in time to where I was watching Sons of Thunder a lot too, right? And it becomes confusing, and this is, you understand when you start to grow in the spirit, you start to understand why, the brothers that's been in this thing way longer than us especially starting off with the apostles, and then the bishops on down or whatever the case, because you start to understand in the spirit that they're not just telling you to do something just for you not to do it. And just the same thing, with the commandments. Right? Obviously, we can't keep everything in this place. We're in captivity, but we do the best you can, and you start to understand that when you start to see what goes on in this place, why Yahweh Bashim Yahushai set up the law, statutes, commandments the way that they did. Right? And it's confusion, and that's why people get so confused, is because when you start watching these different groups, and this is, like I said, a small testimony to me, I remember this one particular topic where they were talking about the new moon, right? And I know I don't know if they still teach it, but the Sons of Thunder said the I was gonna say HOI, the new moon is which this was some while back when I was like I said when I was first coming into the truth. They were saying the new moon is like a feast day, so you can do this, you can do that on this feast day because it's a feast day. That's what they were saying. But then GMS was saying, this was when I was new, when I was learning and watching other camps. It was like the new moon is a Sabbath, which it is, right? So you're not supposed to be doing all, obviously we know we're in captivity. You do the best you can. You're gonna have to break, you have to work on the Sabbath, so on and so forth. Right? But then it was a point of confusion. I was like, okay, which one is it though? So it's a feast day, so can we, cook and we can buy food and do all this other stuff? Or what do we do? And I remember, I don't remember for sure, but I think I did ask the elder, not to talk about a long time ago. And was asking, I was like, I remember asking him, and he was like, he broke it down pretty much to me. This was a while ago, and it makes you really understand that, when you follow these groups, this is why they say not to watch all the different groups unless you're really rooted and grounded. Because obviously, if you're rooted and grounded, you understand the truth. Then you can watch these groups, see where they're going off, and then obviously make edification out of it. Edification come out of it. But if you're new into the faith, you start watching all these different groups, you're gonna have different answers for a whole bunch of things, and now you don't know what to do. And that's why it's not conductive. It's not conducive. It's counterproductive, man. Because one group's gonna say this and the other group's gonna say that, and then you're gonna be like, okay, well, which one do I do? You see? And so pretty much, getting back to the topic kind of, is, the Lord is gonna get the elect from amongst these groups. Right? He's gonna get the elect from amongst these people. Right? That's in these other camps following, false ways. Right? And what kind of also made me this pop in my head, because like I said, this popped in my head like as soon as I woke up, like this immediately was on my mind. The Lord's gonna get you to where you need to be, right? But another thing is too, I was watching the video from Elder Yashawamba, and the video he was talking about, I forgot the name of it, but he was going into the accounts of in the scriptures to where Yahushua was talking about pretty much forgive them for they know not what they do, right? And he brought the example of the Apostle Paul, which was Saul, right? Which his name was Saul before, and how he was persecuting the Lord's men, but the Apostle Paul didn't know what he was doing before that, right? And that whole video, he said, Elder Yashwama, that video spawned from a question that he got, but also the video that Elder Menantez Alba uploaded about some dude that was going against the apostles, but he repented and so on and so forth. So it was a whole chain, pretty much. And that the people, doing falsely, doing false things is going to fall in these false ways. Eventually, if you're meant to get it, you're gonna come out of that, right? Because like I said, I was watching Wi-Fi heavy when I was first coming in, and that's the only people I was watching. And it was nothing but, it was cool to watch, but it wasn't really, you don't really learn much. Right? So I want to start off with this. I've been rambling, but we're gonna get into it. And I just got a couple. Right, and this is, let's see here. We're gonna start off. See if I want to read up a little bit. Let's see here. Let's start at, I think we'll probably get straight to the point. Let's see what this is in NLT here. Right, okay, so there's Proverbs 3 and 5 in the NLT. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. It says, do not depend on your own understanding. It says, seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. It says, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. But I want to get this in KJV too, though. Let's go back. This is Proverbs 3 and 5 in KJV now. It says, trust. There's a lot of stuff going on. It says, it says Proverbs 3 and 5 in the KJV. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. It says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Thy paths. It says, be not wise in thine own eyes. It says, fear the Lord and depart from evil, man. And you know, when you come in this thing, you have to be like what, a babe, a newborn babe, and you have to put off what you think that you knew and start to relearn, or start to learn the righteousness, the right path, right? But he's going to direct your steps. He's going to get you to where you need to be. And so if you are following a false way, eventually, if it's for you, then you're going to get to the right path, right? And in this thing, in this walk, obviously you hit speed bumps, a lot of things happen, but all this stuff is to get you to where you need to be, right? And the Lord is going to make sure that you have the things that you have to get to where you need to be, right? And you just have to put your trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Sometimes you might not have the answer, you might not have, what you're looking for, but you best believe that, when you start praying and asking for things, you have to believe the things that you're asking for and believe that you're going to receive those things. You don't just put up prayers and ask these things and you just, oh, he ain't going to answer, or Lord ain't going to give it, don't have those doubts in your mind. Right? And then I want to get this as well. Let's get Proverbs 20. Let's see here. And 24, straight to the point. It says, man's goings are of the Lord. It says, how can a man then understand his own way? Right? Man's goings are of the Lord, man. Right? And just like how he told Jeremiah, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. Right? That you was going to be a prophet. Right? Because all this stuff took place in the spiritual realm first. Right? So that specific, spirit of Jeremiah, it was a prophet. He was going to be a prophet. Right? And you can't go against the Lord's will, man. So you're going to do what the Lord wants you to do. And there's nothing that you can do about it, man. But, in this walk, it's a blessed position to even be here to understand these things. And that's why it's important to teach the right thing, man. Because, stuff, when you study, when you reading, when you're doing all this other stuff, you understand you're doing it for the body. You're doing it for the people that's coming after you. The people that's going to watch the videos, learn, study, or whatever the case from you. You have to make sure you're teaching the sheep the right thing and the right path to walk to. Right? And that's why these other groups don't understand that. You going off on so much. John the Baptist wasn't in the truth or whatever. It's just so much that's going on right now, and it's getting easier and easier to tell who the men of the Lord are, man. If it wasn't easy enough for you to know, a couple weeks ago, a year ago, a couple years ago, months ago, whatever the case may be, it's getting very obvious, man. And you ain't nobody gonna have you're not gonna have no excuse. Well, I didn't know. No, yes you did. Yes you did. You just chose not to. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to touch on that, real briefly. Because I said, like, when I woke up, it was really immediately, in my spirit. Like, as soon as I woke up. Before my eyes was even open. Immediately in my brain, in my mind, just right there. So, you will get, to where you need to be, right? And, you know, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, was going to make sure that you get there, man. So, with that, I'm going to close out. Give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Shalom.